The primary residence affidavit, what this basically is saying is that it's confirming that this property is a primary resident. So the borrowers are going to go ahead and sign here. You are the witness in these documents, okay? Unless you're in the state of Florida, you are always going to be the witness. So once they sign, you fill in your witness information. Your certificate has already been filled in and you went ahead and stamped. You also went ahead and filled that out in your journal here. And it is okay to abbreviate. You don't have to be specific because this is for your records. So this is the payoff transmittal. This letter is basically going to be sent to your old lender on behalf of you, just confirming that you are going to be paying off the loan amount because you are going to be refinancing. So I just need you both to just go ahead and sign there for me. So we are at a point in the loan packet where you're going to come across closing instructions, and these instructions are not going to be for you. And I usually like to tell my mentees, you know, it's closing instructions that's not meant for you, just kind of based off of the font. Like, it's completely different than the fonts of the actual loan packet. So this is kind of like a easy tip, but you'll also know by just, you know, it takes time to know, but you also know because it's nothing for you on here. It's nothing on here for you to sign, right? This isn't going to be on your actual loan packet. This is just a packet that I have in my Shopify store that I printed out, and I guess I just didn't take the time to take these off. But you can actually purchase this specific packet as well. But yeah, you're not going to go ahead and show these. Usually no, pages 1 through 6, you can just go ahead and just straight go through those. And you know that none of these require your signature. Here's another page here. This is a 6th page. It does have blank spaces where there needs to be signatures, but obviously, as you can see, it says authorized settlement agent. You are not that, so you skip over that. This is another closing worksheet. This is not for you. It's pages 1 of 4. So you would just go ahead and quickly get these out of the way. Normally, I would tell the signer as I'm flipping through them, I would say, I'm just flipping through these because these do not require a signature. Now, this is the uniform residential application. You will just go ahead and have them sign this. You will explain to them, hey, this is your original loan application. I just need you to go over this. And once you are finished, I will show you where to sign. This is the demographic information that you filled out with your loan application. So I just need you to go over this to make sure that it is correct. Once you take a look at it, you can just go ahead and initial right here at the bottom for me, please. This is the borrower certificate authorization. This is basically saying that you authorize the release of this loan application information to the lender and the title company. So once you take a look at that, I'm just going to need you to sign your name here and date as well. All right, so this is basically confirming the tax years that the lender requested from you. So if those look good, I'm going to need you to go ahead and sign and date here. This is the U.S. Patriot Act disclosure. This is for you. Most states, the Patriot Act does not have to be notarized. You're going to fill in their information based on what you have here. So remember at the beginning, the reason why I told you to make sure that you put the issue date and the expiration date, that's because you're going to need it for this document. Normally, if you have time, you can fill this out during your signing. But most of the time, I probably just go right ahead and skip over it because I'm trying to get out of there as quickly as I can, but making sure that I'm performing the signing as efficiently as I can as well. So I'll go ahead and just skip over this because I already have this information. So this is the private mortgage insurance disclosure. This is pretty much confirming what the last document was confirming, but it also is going to go over your insurance requirements for the property. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Once you do, I'm going to need you to sign and date for me. All right, so this is your note. What this is going to go over is pretty much your promise to pay, your interest rate here, when your first payment is due, and for how much. So if all that looks good, I'm going to need you to go ahead and sign your name here for me, please. And you do not have to put the date. So what I do with the deed of trust is I explain to them what the document is. I say, you know, this is your deed of trust. This is the security instrument that gets recorded with the county clerk. It's about 15 pages worth of verbiage. So if you want to take a look at it, you can. If not, if you don't want to look at it right now, you do have a copy of this that I am going to give to you at the end of the signing. So you can go ahead and just sign and date for me here, please. And that's usually how I present the deed of trust to them. I will literally have the stack of the 15 papers and hope that they do not want to literally sit there and read through each page. Most of them don't. Most of them will flip through like 1 or 2 pages. And they'll just based off those 1 or 2 pages, they'll believe me like, okay, yeah, it's 15 pages worth of verbiage. And then they'll just go ahead and sign and date this. All right. So while they are doing that, remember, for efficiency, well, first, you should know that the deed of trust gets notarized. If you took any of my other courses, I definitely expressed that. So while you are flipping through all those pages, after you've already given them the deed of trust and you have them looking over it as well as signing it, you're going to be going ahead and filling in your notarial certificate here. And of course, you want to go ahead and record it in your journal. All right, record it in your journal. Make sure that it is filled in properly. Make sure that it is stamped, and then you're good to go. All right, so this is the development writer. This is going to also get recorded with your deed. It just confirms that the home is located in the development named such. That will be here. So I usually say the name of the development, and then I would be like, if that looks good, you can go ahead and just sign and date for me, please. Affidavit. And if most of you took my course on loan documents, you will know that affidavits come in all shapes and sizes. So normally with affidavits, they would either be filling in information or reading information. This one in particular, they're going to be reading. So I usually just depending on the type of affidavit it is, I usually just point to one section and tell them to read this one statement. But being as though this one has 3 listed statements here, I'll just tell them to just, you can just briefly go over this information here. And if all of that looks good to you, you can go ahead and sign and date for me. And they're usually, you know, okay with just looking over it. All right. So you would let them know that this is a refinance affidavit. So this is going to confirm that this is your loan amount. So you will point to the loan amount and you will say, if that looks correct, I just need you to go ahead and sign and date your name here. Once they sign and date, you're going to go ahead and fill in your notarial certification here, or the signature name affidavit is coming up next, which is perfect. So that gives you some time while they are confirming that information and signing and dating. You can go ahead and start filling out your notarial certificate here. Make sure that you do not sign your name. Remember, don't sign your name prior to the borrower signing their name. And then you're going to be all set. So we're going to go ahead and fill it in over here as though we have already notarized these documents here. So this particular loan packet has 4 notice of right to cancel. So with this document, if you know the proper etiquette, you know that since there's 4 here, that requires the borrowers to sign separately. So you're going to have them sign 2 of these copies and you're going to give them the remaining copies. Now, most people will have the signers sign all 4 copies, keep 2, give them the remaining 2, right? Either or, whichever one you prefer. I mean, that's where some, unorthodox comes in at. Me personally, I don't have them sign all copies. I just have them sign the 2 that I'm going to be sending back within the packet, and then I will give them the remaining copies. Now, sometimes you're going to have a notice of right to cancel where they sign both. I'm sorry, where the signers would sign on the same page. If that happens, you will just send back 1 and they will keep the other, because most likely it's only going to be 2 within that packet. So just make sure that you count how many you have. Make sure you check the names, because the names are going to be pre-printed, so that's how you know who signs what. And then you'll have them sign it. Make sure they sign that they do not want to cancel. Make sure you check that the notice of right to cancel date is correct here, and then you're all good to go. This is the Fact Act notice. This basically lets you know that the lender can report any delinquent payments to the credit bureaus. So you can go ahead and sign and date for me. Your W-9 form, the only thing that I need you to do on this form is just verify that your social is correct. So if it is correct, I need you to sign your name here, and it's already dated for you. This is your first payment letter. It's going to go over the principal and interest, your homeowner's insurance, and the property taxes here. So if that number looks correct, you can go ahead and sign and date. These are payment coupons. I usually don't give these to them. I usually just skip over it, because to be honest, no one used those. But if you would like to show them that, you can. Obviously, you conduct your signing the way that you want to, but you can let them know that they have a copy of that. All right, so this is the initial escrow disclosure. This is basically going to confirm your payment amount and confirm the 12-month snapshot of your escrow account. So if all of that information looks good, you can go ahead and sign and date here. So this is the errors and omissions compliance agreement. You've seen this document earlier within the packet. This is just another copy. Most likely there's one for the lender and one for the title company. So you know that this document means that you just have to make sure that you agree to make any changes within the packet. So you can go ahead and sign your name and then date that for me. And then once you're finished, I'll go ahead and notarize that. So this is the Federal Equal Credit Opportunity Act. This basically lets you know that you cannot be discriminated against, and if you feel as such did occur, you can go ahead and contact this office here. So you can just sign off that you've received this information here, sign and date. This is the occupancy statement. This is just confirming that the property is owner occupied. So if that is correct, you can go ahead and sign and date. You're obviously going to notarize this document here. Our book is getting full. Not even in my own signings do I even get this far down. That's this Maryland packet. This is the amortization schedule. This basically goes over your payments from the beginning of your loan until the end of your loan. So I'm just going to flip through these pages here, and I am going to have you just sign and date your name here. Normally they see you flipping through it, they see that it's all numbers, they're not going to want to see it. So I usually normally do not even hand them this. I literally just hand them the last page to have them sign and date it. So this is going over the fines for any type of fraud that may occur. You can go ahead and sign and date that you've received this notice. All right, so this is the appraisal acknowledgement. This is just letting you know that you have a right to a copy of the appraisal. You can follow this information here. You do have a copy of this in your loan packet if you do want to get a copy of your appraisal. But for now, you can just go ahead and sign and date that for me. All right, so this is the appraisal waiver. I just need you to read over these sections here, check off each one. After you're finished, you can go ahead and sign and date. All right, so this is the acknowledgement of receipt of disclosures. These are disclosures that I have presented to you today. It's just confirming that you've received these. You can go ahead and sign and date. All right, so this is the flood insurance coverage subject to change. This is basically saying that you have to maintain flood insurance on the property even if changes to your policy are made. So you can go ahead and sign and date for me. All right, so that concludes this signing. As you can see, you pretty much just want to go through the documents as smoothly as you can. You want to try to make it as efficient as you can. And you want to make sure that you're giving the shortest description of each document. I know that, you probably didn't even hear me say more than a sentence about each document. You have to basically just form a bond with the signer, form some type of trust. So as long as you give a brief description of each document that they're signing, most of them are not going to question you, especially if you're pointing to the exact information within the document that you're referring to. Most of them will not question you. So here's your journal. You filled in all of the notarial acts that you did within the packet here. So you're going to have now at the end of the signing, you're going to say to the borrower, hey, I'm going to be going through this loan package, just double checking and making sure that everything goes okay. While I do that, do you mind just please going ahead and signing your name? These are just the notarial acts that I did today. And then you can go ahead and initial for me as well. So I'll usually go ahead and give them that. While they're looking over that, I will go ahead and go through the loan packet. Now, I typically talk to myself at this part of the signing. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure that I'm saying out loud that they signed where they needed to sign, they dated where they needed to date, they didn't date where they did not need to date, and that I didn't miss any signatures at all. So I'll usually give them a little disclosure. Hey, you're going to hear me talking to myself because I have to make sure that, I did everything right. I don't say all that, but I'll just be like, you're going to hear me kind of talking to myself, making sure that we didn't miss anything. Normally they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead, girl, do your thing. So I'm going to show you how quickly I go through this so you get an idea. I don't want you to think that you have to be there sitting there like looking at every document, like just slow, once you start to go through it, you're gonna pick up on it. So I think this was my first signature line here. So I'll go ahead and make sure that they both signed and I'll keep going. They fill that out. I'll say to myself, okay, I filled out my certificate, and I usually point, I'm like, certificate, stamp, sign, commission. They sign, no date, boom, keep going. They filled that out. All right, that's signed, that's signed, that's signed. They initial there, initial there. Okay, sign and date. They signed, and I filled in my certificate. I stamped. All right, same thing there. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. I will do that later. That looks good. Stamp, sign there. That looks good. I notarize that. I skipped these, by the way, because they weren't important or relevant to the signing today, at least. All right, so this is not for me. Not for me. All right, so got my signatures there, there, initial sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates. I'll fill that out later. Sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, okay. Sign. Sign-in date, notarize, stamp, everything's filled in. Got that there. Sign-in date. Sign-in date. Sign-in date. Certificate filled out and stamped. Sign-in date. Filled out, stamped. Sign-in date. Sign-in dates. All right, so sign-in date there. Signed, it's pre-printed. All right, sign-in date, sign-in date, sign-in date, certificates filled out, stamp, sign-in date, sign-in date, certificate filled out, have it in my journal, yep. Sign-in date, certificate filled out, have that in my journal. Authorization schedule, sign-in dates, sign-in dates, sign-in date. This is literally what I do, y'all. Sign-in date, sign-in date, sign-in date. Okay, so everything looks good. We did not miss any signatures. So as you're going through, if you happen to miss a signature, just, you know, say, hey, we missed this one here. Go ahead and sign it. Then get back to your flow of things, right? They sign your journal here. They initialed everywhere. Everything looks good. So you are now officially finished with your signing. That was quick, easy, right? Well, probably not for the purposes of this video. It was quick, but it shouldn't take you too long to get through your signings. If you're having trouble, you can always get a private coaching with me. I do go over your first signing with you. A little bit more detailed than this. You'll actually receive a PDF copy of your actual signing with notes and with highlighted sections, and then we will actually go over that within a 2-hour coaching session. So I hope that this video was helpful, and yeah,